crypto. We're live on the internet, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome everybody to the live stream. I'm super excited to have all of you here. Today I'm going to be answering your questions. We'll see how long we go for, but it is always super exciting to get to talk straight to the community. So I'm really excited to have all of you in the chat already saying hi to each other and already asking some questions. So that's really awesome. So we'll be getting into all the questions today, preferably questions about what's going on in crypto versus shill my random coin, Lark, but I might answer some of those questions too for some of them. So we'll see how we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome everybody to the chat. I'm super excited to see all of you here. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So this week in crypto, a lot of fun things are happening as always. Never seems to be a dull day in the cryptocurrency world. Evangelos asks, what's the ultimate upside target of Bitcoin in your opinion? Will the bubble eventually pop sometime in the future? That's an interesting question, Evangelos, and we'll start off with that one. So the ultimate upside target of Bitcoin, gosh, it's really a time frame question, Evangelos, and it's, of course, can Bitcoin scale in the way that it needs to? If it comes to the standard of global currency, it's massive. The potential for Bitcoin is massive. And I was talking about this yesterday in my video that if we see, the 2032, that's by the time that the Bitcoin halving will take it down to less than 1 Bitcoin per block reward. That's huge. That's huge. Just imagine if Bitcoin is 10 times as popular by then. Or just, it's going to be massive. It's going to be really, really massive, guys. And so to put a number on it today, it's a question of time frames. By 2032, we could see, Bitcoin in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Easily, I think. Assuming, of course, that we continue to see development, that it continues to move forward in a way which makes it so that Bitcoin continues to have value. We can see right now the value is massive for it. And there is a certain amount of just speculation. And I think that a lot of the speculators in first world countries don't necessarily see the real utility of Bitcoin. And that's an important thing because the utility of Bitcoin is absolutely massive. And when you see different people in places, I don't know, like Zimbabwe or Venezuela or whatever, using Bitcoin, then you realize the power of Bitcoin. Or if you've ever tried to make an international transfer using a bank, now you realize the power of Bitcoin. Just holding on to it as an abstract asset, hoping that it'll go up in value, well, that's pretty cool too. But it's got real world use cases, and that is what is important for Bitcoin. So where will we see it go in a few years? We shall see. We shall see. It depends on a lot of factors. I'm not going to put a number to it for you today. Junie asks, Lark, what is your real job? You're looking at it right now, guys. Is YT your only income? Obviously, not just YouTube is my income. There's a lot of different income sources coming in. But yeah, this is my full-time passion, I could say, and I get to make it into a monetizable thing from time to time. So that's really cool. But I love what I do, and I feel really blessed that I've got a passion that I've been able to turn into a living. So it's one of my many passions in life, and I'm trying to turn some of the other passions into livings as well. So, but it's definitely something that's a lot of fun. And what was your professional background before YouTube? Well, before YouTube, I actually spent a bit of time as a language coach and as a tutor in politics, and as well as working at a vineyard for a short time. So there's kind of a bit of that going around, but really, my background is in education before this, particularly around politics and language, so you can probably kind of see some of that come out in my videos sometimes, particularly around the politics conversation. Lark, what do you think of Quant, asks Crypto Nige. I have no idea what to think about Quant. I have not had a chance to review it yet, but hopefully sometime in the near future, I will get that coming for you guys. So keep an eye out. It'll come. Who do you see as Bitcoin's closest competitor, asks Keep It Real. Well, that is a very, very interesting question. Who is Bitcoin's closest competitor? Because when you start looking around, there are so many cryptocurrencies that are really, really cool and have really great value. We could look at Stellar Lumens, for example. Stellar Lumens is way cheaper to move around than Bitcoin, as an example. It's got smart contract functionality and all the rest of it. So, yeah, there are a lot of different cryptocurrencies which have a lot more to offer than Bitcoin. But Bitcoin's got the network effect. Bitcoin has the branding. It has all of this excitement behind it, pop culture behind it, in a way that no other cryptocurrency even comes close. Bitcoin lacks privacy tech and all these different things. You can look at like Monero, for example. Monero's got great privacy technology. It's really cool as like a cash form of cryptocurrency, but it's nowhere near as big as Bitcoin. And it's not just a question of market cap, it's a question of community as well. It's a question of people actually using it. Now, in terms of that, we do see other cryptocurrencies that have larger daily use volumes than Bitcoin. So will Bitcoin stay the market leader forever? Potentially not. Potentially not. We might see in the years some kind of flippening situation happen. And it would actually be a really positive thing for the crypto markets to decouple themselves from Bitcoin. But so long as Bitcoin remains the cryptocurrency of preference for trading on almost every single major exchange, yeah, it's not going anywhere anytime soon, to be honest. What do you think is the best wallet at the moment? Asks Spanish Chicken. Interesting question. Depends on what kind of wallet you want to be using, but my personal go-to is the Ledger Nano S. I've got a Trezor as a backup as well. It just as a second place to keep cryptos. And I do use an Exodus wallet for just some small things. I keep it. I keep just a little bit of Bitcoin in my Exodus wallet for like when I want to just send something really quickly without going through the signing into the ledger and stuff like that. So I might just have, I don't know, if I see some charity or something that is, raising money, I'll send them 20 or 50 bucks or something like that. And I just do that from Exodus usually because I find it kind of a bit easier in terms of speed and user interface to just kind of hop on there and do it real quick. But overall, Ledger is the go-to wallet. Okay. Ricky Thompson. What good projects do you see being around 5 years from now? What are 5 altcoins you think are good investments? Well, I'm going to answer the first part of that question because honestly, I can sit here and just shill different altcoins to you all day long. But in terms of good projects that'll still be around in 5 years, I'll just give you a few from the top of the list here because some of these aren't going anywhere. Stellar Lumens is an example of a very, very promising project that I think is going to have really great long-term potential that will still be here in 5 or 10 years, right? Obviously, Bitcoin's not going anywhere. And in spite of all of the Ethereum haters out there, Ethereum is not going anywhere either. The developers at Ethereum are working on scaling it, and it's a very tricky proposition to scale Ethereum. I'm not saying that Ethereum is always going to be in the number 2 position. Somebody might overtake that quite easily. We've seen Bitcoin Cash and Ripple do that for moments previously. But I think Ethereum's got staying power, and it will be around in years and years from now. Monero as well, Cardano, a lot of these top cryptocurrencies will, in my opinion, have that kind of staying power. Now, there are others, like Bitcoin Gold, for example. Will Bitcoin Gold still be a thing in 5 years? Probably not. I would be surprised if it is. What about some others here that are probably not going to be around in a couple of years? But yeah, Bitcoin Diamond, I can't believe that's still so high on the market cap. I think that's going to disappear, right? Bytecoin, I'm surprised that that is still so popular. And some others too. But there's a lot of these projects that will not remain this high on the market cap. Other projects will come in that will be technologically superior to them and so on. So they will replace those in terms of market cap. I'm not saying those projects will go anywhere, right? They won't disappear and people will stop using them. But it can move forward in that way. Colton Brummel says market cap is not everything. It's just a calculation of last traded price times total supply. Well, that's right, Colton. And market cap is a good indicator of trading volume and popularity, but it doesn't actually talk about real world use case. How many people are actually transacting in that, for example. So that's what you really need. What's the community like behind it, and how many people are actually using that? Captain Risky asks, Lark, do you hold Power Ledger? Yeah, I've been holding Power Ledger for ages. I actually have a Power Ledger shirt on for anybody who hasn't seen that yet. But yeah, I like Power Ledger. They've obviously gone through some things recently where they're talking about their asset germination events. I'm hoping to have an interview with them later this week so we can get some more information for the community about that. So stay tuned for that to be coming out. Druk asks, Lark, you talked about providing crypto classes. Are you still working on this? Yes and no. I've kind of taken a back seat on that at the moment, but I've been thinking about more and more recently about how I can rework it. Essentially, I recorded about 50 different videos as a crypto education course, and I got to the end and I looked at them as like a holistic kind of course thing, and I thought, this just isn't working like this. I don't like it like this. I want to do something different with it, so I've taken it back to the drawing board. It's probably been 2 months since I've touched it, to be honest, but I have been talking recently about re-bringing that idea, re-recording some of those videos, well, rewriting and re-recording some of those videos to, again, provide that for the community. So the crypto classes, yeah, they'll still be coming. I don't know when. Like I said, I had to go back to the drawing board a bit on it, but it will be something that will continue forward. So I don't know when, but keep an eye out. It will come. Usually, ex-CEOs of exchanges are huge in crypto projects. With Charlie, Jeb McCaleb, Dan Larimer. Dysig Kim will be among the list. From Bazant. I've been hearing a lot about Bazant recently. There's quite a few different projects that are getting a lot of play right now. Bazant is one of them. Obviously, Digitex has been getting a lot of play recently, and I've done a little bit of research into Bazant. Haven't had a chance to dig into Digitex yet. And some others, too, have been getting a lot of play. It's quite interesting to watch the social media trends and try and look through because there's a lot of just random shilling and bots and all the rest of it, but to actually try and find those legitimate comments from people in terms of that. So Cryptology asks, Lark, have you heard anything about the stable Australian dollar coin? Any thoughts? Cheers. Cryptology, there's a couple different, I think there's 2 different stable coins, one from a while ago, but I've definitely heard about the Stellar Australian dollar coin recently offered. And of course, you can always just use regular Australian dollars without having to use a stable coin for a lot of the exchanges. I know liquid.com, for example, they offer Australian dollar deposits and withdrawals. Ty Webb. Hey, Lark just showed up. Sorry for my tardiness. You are forgiven, Ty. Welcome to the party. Steven asks, Lark, are you a fan of Aetherium Classic? A fan? I don't know if a fan is the right word necessarily, but I have a small smattering of Aetherium Classic. Not super huge into it. I'm curious to see where they're going. They've certainly surprised me, Aetherium Classic, in terms of when I did my Aetherium versus Aetherium Classic review. Not a lot was happening on Aetherium Classic at the time, but apparently they were working on how to move themselves forward, I suppose. And so a lot more has been happening on Aetherium Classic recently. So we'll see. I'm holding on to my ETC, and it can just hang out in the background for a long-term moonshot kind of thing. So we'll see what happens with Aetherium Classic in the long run. Stellar or Ripple? Do you see Ripple having dominance for many years to come in the banking sector? I think this goes to Joe's $589 per Ripple question as well. Well, personally, I am more of a Stellar Lumens fan. And as much hate as Ripple gets, Ripple's not some kind of terrible devil like people like to make it out to be. And yeah, they've got very close relationships with a lot of banks. And when those banks start using X Rapid, it could be very, very big for Ripple. But you have to keep in mind that Ripple is not the only one. It's not going to be, replace the US dollar, and it's not going to replace all payments between banks. Even now, we see there are multiple ways that banks transact funds, right? So to see just Ripple or just Stellar dominate, I don't think so. But those two have very, very big potential moving forward. Obviously, a lot of the gains have already been seen for both Stellar and Ripple. Will we see like a $5 Ripple in the future? Yeah, sure we will. Will we see a $589 Ripple? No, I'd be blown away if that happens. I mean, for that, we're talking about Ripple replacing global money. I don't know. Who knows? I get surprised all the time in life, but I don't see that happening. But again, we talk about time frames and how long it's going to take to get to reach, a few $100,000 for Bitcoin, for example. It might take a few years. But if the markets continue as is and we see a Bitcoin worth a few $100,000, right? So let's say that the market cap of Bitcoin goes up by 20 times. Well, if we see everything else kind of follow suit, and we assume that like XRP goes up by 20 times, well, yeah, you'd be seeing a Ripple worth a lot more, but that number that's been thrown around, $589, is quite out there, to be honest. Okay, Stride Rida, thank you for the donation, by the way. Did you see the Elastos Manhattan Project leak? I have not seen the Manhattan Project leak from Elastos. I'll have to check that out after the stream today. Do you think they'll be the first to bring a decentralized web? Will they be the first? Well, who the heck knows? There's a lot of competition in that space, and I'm not going to say the Elastos is going to be the first. Elastos has been doing probably more work on the ground than anyone else in terms of their longevity, how long they've been working on this project, and they've been working on it for 10 plus years. And that's pretty massive when you think about it. And Elastos is a crazy project because when you start to look into it, it's just this Pandora's box of information. And it's really exciting what Elastos is doing, but will they be the first? That's the question. I don't know. Will they be an important part of the decentralized web infrastructure in the future? I believe yes. But we might see a situation where much like an internet service provider now, you may see multiple different decentralized web options out on the market. You might be able to, log in through Elastos, or you'll be able to log in through NKN, for example, or whatever it might be. And that is how you access it. Or all these come together and you have this sort of mishmash web of different decentralized projects delivering the internet of the future. So I'm very optimistic for decentralized technologies to help us take control of the internet again, anyway. So a lot of projects working on it. I'm not sure Elastos will be the first. Time will tell. Time will tell. Kevin, that's a good question, Kevin. Do you have trouble emotionally detaching yourself from certain projects when it is time to sell? I think for me, when I was earlier on in my crypto days, it was a little bit more emotionally difficult to detach yourself from a project, right? But now I don't experience those things. You make a profit, you sell. And that's okay. And you can look at a long-term situation and say, hey, I'm going to hold that long-term and I'm going to sell a little bit to take profits, but I'm not going to sell all of it because I still want to have that as a long-term position. Well, that's fine. That's fine, right? But there are certainly some things that I get into, and maybe I've been in it for, let's say 6 months or something, and it's gone up, and, well, that time has come. It's I don't know, you could maybe compare it to saying goodbye to a friend or something. It's like, hey, thanks for visiting. I'm going to take away the positive emotions of your trip and see you later. Hop on the plane, get out of here, man. I need to get out of my house. Get out of my house, guys. No. It's in such a way. But that's a really good question, is that people do get emotionally attached because for most people, you actually become part of the community, right? You fall in with the branding and the technology, but then you start going to the forums and you start making friends in the community, and you feel that when you sell that cryptocurrency, you're no longer going to be part of that community. So I think that's what it comes to for a lot of people anyway. But remember, these are investments, right? They're little numbers of code written on the internet. So you invest in them hoping to make a profit moving forward. Keep that in mind and try not to get too emotionally attached to things, even when the branding's really great and the community's cool. Is Neo going to progress in 2019 or die in 2020? That's on the 3.0 upgrade. Look, there's been a lot of FUD about a lot of projects recently, and somebody's asking about VeChain here as well, so I think we can talk about FUD in general. The bear market is certainly bringing out the worst in some community members, and that's really unfortunate because I've seen a lot of FUD going around about basically every project. And look, there's always FUD going around about projects. I feel like it's been a little more amplified recently. I don't see Neo going anywhere, nor do I see Ontology going anywhere. And I know there's a lot of people who have said that because Neo exists, because Ontology exists, Neo is no longer going to be relevant. I don't think that's the case at all. They're developed to be complementary, and the development firm behind those, they are continuing to develop both of these projects. It's just, you imagine that a company puts out, let's take Apple for example. When Apple put out the iPhone, everyone wasn't saying, well, now because Apple's put out the iPhone, the MacBook is going to be completely useless and they're going to stop developing that. No, they have multiple products, multiple projects fulfilling different aims. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Neo. Still holding it. Plan on holding it for quite a while. So with the market cap of crypto falling in line with traditional stock markets, what does this mean? Bitcoin isn't a good hedge. More institutional investors than previously thought. Interesting. So I think what we've seen recently, and I'm not a big stock person, but from what I do know, we've seen a more recent drop in stocks on a fairly heated stock market. Now, when we look at crypto's been in a much longer term downtrend, and we saw the NASDAQ dropping by like 12, 13 points last week, but Bitcoin's only down 2%. Right? Interesting that gold's gone up marginally, not a lot though. I think that in the long term, crypto assets will be incredibly popular on a way that I think that we don't even fully comprehend yet. To see a $200 billion market cap, or approximately thereabout, is still so small for crypto. When people are using Bitcoin on a day-to-day basis, when things are priced in Bitcoin in places, when we have these different crypto assets that are bringing together supply chain and all these different things, and there will be a lot of blockchain utilization that does not use a crypto asset, and I think you should keep that in mind. There's blockchain and then there's cryptocurrency. They don't necessarily have to combine all the time. And we see a lot of big companies going with the blockchain route, but not so many going with the cryptocurrency route, which I think makes a lot of people think, well, when Google and Apple and all these people come out with their own proprietary blockchains, well, will we even need all this stuff? All that information has to be kept there, et cetera, et cetera. I think it really comes down to a question of, do you want to see a future that is ruled by corporations like our current world is, or do we want a future that is ruled by sovereign citizens? And cryptocurrencies offer us that possibility. Bitcoin is revolutionary for many different reasons. To escape central planned finance and Federal Reserve banking and all this BS. Yeah, that's a big part of it, for me especially. So, kind Kyle Marco asks, do you drink Coca-Cola? I do not. That's a weird question, but okay. Cameron, Lark, what are your thoughts on Cardano in general with the Cardano Foundation drama? Look, I talked to Charles about it, and after talking to Charles about the Cardano Foundation and what's going on there, I honestly looked and I thought, you know what, this all makes sense to me. I mean, when you're running a business, Cardano is a business, when you're running it, and you have these people at the foundation, right? Well, you're giving them a chance to actually perform. You're giving them a chance to do what they say they're going to do, right? You don't just throw people away at the first sign of trouble, necessarily. In hindsight, maybe that's what should have been done, but that's not how businesses usually operate, right? And so with the Cardano Foundation, yeah, it's moved in that direction. So what the heck are you going to do? They have to get, they've asked for the resignation of the board, and they'll have to get a new board for the Cardano Foundation. So it will move forward. It's just a temporary setback in terms of what's going on. And the Cardano Foundation, you have to understand there's three separate parts here. We had the IOHK, which is working on how to actually develop the blockchain. We have Emergo, which is dealing with business partnerships, and we had the Cardano Foundation, which is supposed to be out there lobbying for them, right? And they weren't really doing that lobbying. This is why Charles Hoskinson has been flying to 40 different countries this year, because he's doing the job that the Cardano Foundation, to an extent, was supposed to be doing. So we'll see. We'll see. This drama will play out like most dramas, and the market will continue to be reactionary, as so often happens. Lark, what is your opinion on privacy coins? Thanks for the contribution, Stephen. Privacy coins, I'm a big fan of. I think privacy coins fulfill an interesting niche in the blockchain world. Everyone says, oh, Bitcoin's so private and all this stuff. Well, Bitcoin's not private at all, and it's actually relatively easy to track back Bitcoin transactions, because remember, all the exchanges have KYC, right? And so when you start to look around and you can find different decentralized exchanging options, I mean, right now you could buy Bitcoin somewhere, you send your Bitcoin out to just say the Waves decentralized exchange, you turn it into Zcash, it's gone. It's gone. Crypto Ray says Charles is traveling with our money. Crypto Ray, it's not like that at all. And I think people look at that and they think, I see what, honestly, if you've ever been out, I don't know how much you travel, but it's not, Charles has been invested in crypto for a long time. I don't know, he's probably, I would not be surprised if he's using Cardano money, because they would have a fund for sending their CEO around on planes, because that's what a company does. Now, in terms of, comments like, was traveling on our money? Nah, it's really not like that at all. This is what companies do. And if you think Charles is out there, living up the high life and having fun, you try going to 40 countries and 40 conferences and all this stuff, dude, it's not as much fun and glamorous as it sounds. You see the Instagram pictures and you go, well, that looks like it's a great time. But then you look at the reality is I'm sleeping in hotels, I'm eating at crappy restaurants, I'm on planes all the time. It's like I said, he's out there doing the job that the Cardano Foundation was supposed to be doing. So keep that in mind. Now, let me see. Ricky says, yeah, I heard police love it when you use BTC because it's easier to find you. Fiat is harder. Well, that's it. If you have a stack of cash in your hand and you give it to, I don't know, let's say a drug dealer, nobody knows that happened. It's just gone. And that's where privacy coins come in. If you give somebody Monero, it's just, it's gone. It's gone. And there's a lot of great privacy tech out there. I'm really excited about Zcash's sapling upgrade. I think that is really, really cool. So yeah, Zcash is great, PivX is great, Monero is great, and there's a lot of really cool different privacy tech coming out as well. And you can see, even though WAN chain's been just beaten by the markets like crazy, that is an important thing to see, this kind of privacy tech coming to blockchains, right? So particularly smart contract enabled ones, you might look at the issuance of assets and private tokens and things like this, and it's a really big market that'll be coming out. Unknown. Any tips for relatively new traders to absorb effective patterns? I think my biggest tip for newest traders would be spend a heck of a lot of time learning what you're doing before you go and throw a bunch of money in. You know, if you're going to start, validate your theories, right? If you think you understand how some things work in terms of a trade, go out and, you know, put 50 bucks in. Don't put all your life savings in on a trade, right? And if you put in, well, that, you know, I don't know, 50 bucks, and you can play with it and see, well, okay, you know, set your stop loss and all that stuff, and you play with it and see, is my theory validated? Do I actually understand the technical analysis? Have I played this right? Did I have the right strategy going into this? And that is an important thing, is have strategies, guys, when it comes to trading. Ty Webb says Zcash gives 20% of the rewards to the owner, doesn't it? Somebody says Ztrash, etc., da 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 da. Look, Zcash, yeah, there's a founder's reward until, I can't remember when it's till. Is it till 2019 or 2020? I can't remember, but that founder's reward is not forever on Zcash. And so a lot of people complain about that, and they think, oh, this guy's getting rich, WTF. Like, okay, can you show me, like, I don't know, there's probably a couple out there, but almost no cryptocurrencies are free of that. Look at Bitcoin. Frickin' Satoshi mined 1 million coins and he's still sitting on them. Maybe Satoshi's dead. I don't know. But you have to look at this. He got in there early. Okay, it wasn't a founder's reward for a couple years, right? But we see a lot of other coins like Ethereum. Vitalik had just under 1% of the total amount of Ethereum. That's not bad. That's not bad. I know he sold a lot of that when it was still not super valued like it is nowadays, but seriously. T-Bone now saying that the developer of Zcash is a scam artist. I do not think so, and it's really easy to throw those kind of comments around on the internet in a forum where you can just say, hey, that person's a scam artist. They're not a scam artist. They created a product. Other people use that product with the willing knowledge that there is a certain percentage of the block reward going to this person. So that's something you can keep in mind. It's easy to throw these kind of terms around, but the reality of a situation is often much more nuanced than we like to make it out to be. Lark, do you dollar cost average into Bitcoin? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's, you know, I try to get it in there. I don't have as much of a set pattern for dollar cost averaging in. I do it a little more random intervals, but it's definitely, yeah. No matter what the price is, I'm slowly adding to my Bitcoin stack because I fully believe in the long-term potential of Bitcoin to be massive. So, yeah. Dollar cost averaging for sure, guys. Hard to see the value in Zcash if ETH implements ZK snarks. Well, that's an interesting conversation to have, Jeff. Because if we look at a lot of these different platforms, a lot of them are starting to implement privacy technology. We can look at WanChain, right? They're using ring signatures. So if we see that happening, well, then what's the purpose of Monero, right? And we have the Dusk network, which I'm going to have a review on for you guys soon. We can see Dusk, well, they're going to have assets issued on their blockchain. So they're setting up to be a security platform for security tokens. And so in that situation, well, what purpose then for Monero? Well, it's still a privacy coin. It still has people using it. It has a community of people exchanging that. And so long as Zcash maintains a community of people exchanging it, it will have value. It will have value. Now, I think that actually hits to a really interesting point, though, Jeff, about the value of coins that are just straight coins. Because when we see platforms that have coins but also have more. They have smart contracts, for example. Quite a few people are down here mentioning Komodo, for example. When we see added functionality on top of it, yeah, you have to wonder, how will just the coins that only operate as money continue to be as popular? It's certainly an interesting question. Obviously, time will tell. And we even see a lot of these big platforms moving more and more towards that. Obviously, this is why Ethereum started exploring ZK Snark's technology. This is why Charlie Lee has gone on to say, hey, we might be looking at smart contract functionality for Litecoin. Now, that was said a while ago. I haven't heard anything about that since then, but Charlie Lee is on record as saying that one time. So, Rusty Bike, Crypto Lark, did you look at Mainframe? I got a review on Mainframe. You should go ahead and check that out. From Fear to Trust asks, my friends aren't entering crypto because they think that projects I invest in will be worth little compared to companies that enter later, such as IBM, and make new coins. What are your thoughts on this? That's a really interesting one. Now, they're not completely right. And yeah, there will be companies that come in later that are able to throw massive amounts of money around, but particularly IBM, as an example. IBM is working with Stellar Lumens. The guys from IBM have actually come out and said that they are so convinced that they look at Stellar Lumens and they think we don't actually need to develop our own blockchain solutions because we're working with Stellar Lumens. That works. It's good. The technology is great and it's here for us. And so with that in mind, yeah, there will be some that will be crushed by big companies later. Like imagine, look, Facebook, great example. Imagine when we have the Facebook coin, and considering that Facebook has a blockchain division, Facebook coin is an inevitability. But when we have a Facebook coin, that might spell a lot of trouble for, Steemit or Howdo or any of these other new social networks, right? And there will still be a very strong place for people like Steemit, for example, to have more censorship-resistant publishing happening over there. There will always be a place for that. Very important stuff. Now, when it comes to the validity of something like a Facebook coin, it'll probably have a multi-billion-dollar valuation. It'll probably come in and be massive. Who knows when that's going to happen in the markets? Would I want to invest in a Facebook coin? No, because it's run by Facebook, and screw Facebook. There will always be a huge demand for these decentralized options. And yeah, decentralization is not a black and white issue, guys. It gets a lot of shades of gray in between and how decentralized things are. I know people were freaking out about IDEX the other day, but I think that investing in cryptos now, your friends will probably come back to you when Bitcoin's worth $500,000 and go, gosh, why didn't I invest in Bitcoin? I see Facebook's launching a coin. Maybe I'll go get that now. Don't buy the Facebook coin, guys. Not financial advice, of course. Okay. Colton asks, Lark, thanks for all your wisdom overall and in general. Do you happen to take any nootropics or cognitive enhancers? I do not. Or do you have a personal routine habit to stay focused, calm, meditate? Thanks. Yeah, Colton, a bit of all that. Meditation, yoga, taking up surfing as well. So try to be a bit zen because if you let the markets will become your master, and you don't want to do that because that doesn't do anyone any good. It doesn't do me any good. It doesn't do you guys any good in terms of being me. It'll come out and make videos and all that stuff. So there you go. Ronan asks, if you wanted to use crypto for daily transactions, which platform would you use to spend the crypto? Interesting. I assume you're asking which cryptocurrency would I want to use for daily transactions? If that's the question, Ronan, and you can update me here in the comment section if you wanted to ask something different. But in terms of what crypto I would like to use for daily transactions, I think it's the one that's accepted the most. And I can think of all the transactions that I've done with cryptocurrencies and all the things that I've bought with cryptocurrencies. And I think Bitcoin is the one that I've spent the most and used the most to buy things with. Litecoin and Ethereum are probably close seconds on that, though. Litecoin's been fine. I bought plane tickets with Litecoin, for example, and stuff like that. So that's not a problem at all. Outside of that, I haven't used too many others, though, to buy things with. But there's a lot of very, very attractive options when it comes to that. But I think the real thing needs to be payment solutions that will allow for large amounts of different cryptocurrencies to be accepted. Because if we have a platform or something like PoonDX, right? Something like PoonDX that allows for 15 different cryptocurrencies to be accepted at a point of sale terminal. Now we're talking. Now it doesn't have to be a case of, well, we only accept Bitcoin here. And as we see atomic swaps become more and more important, as we see different things like PoonDX and debit cards and all this stuff coming around, all this infrastructure being built for the crypto industry, it will make payments easier and easier. So you won't have to decide on one coin only that you might want to spend. You'll be able to spend a wide variety of them. Angelo, thanks for the donation. Thoughts on Cloudcoin? It is the first time that I have heard of Cloudcoin, man, so I have no thoughts on that, unfortunately. Sorry. Javier asks, have you tried a sapling transaction with Zcash? I have not used the sapling transactions with Zcash. I don't actually own any Zcash, Javier, so it's interesting for me, and I've traded Zcash before, but I don't actually own any at this time. And have you thought of how the memo field in Zcash sealed a transaction for whistleblowing, etc.? Yeah, actually, Javier, that's interesting. And Zcash, they're obviously not the only ones doing that. Horizon, formerly known as Zencash, they've actually got a platform specifically for anonymous publishing, which is seriously like perfect for whistleblowers, as an example. And the war on whistleblowers is like serious. I don't know what to call the war on whistleblowers. It's like it's a legacy media term, but honestly, like most whistleblowers are attacked for telling the truth. And the world's in an upside down sort of situation where people like Edward Snowden are vilified, where people like Julian Assange are vilified, or like Witness K in Australia, vilified for telling the truth about dirty, dirty corporate dealings and all this stuff. So yeah. Anyway, I think this privacy technology offered by some of these coins, whether it be Zcash or Zencash or Horizon, whatever, any of these guys, the power is very real. And the thing is, we have to get the information out there for like whistleblowers, for example, to be able to use that. And that is what's important. How do we get more people to know about this? This is why I have a channel on the internet talking about cryptocurrencies, to let more people know about crypto, to let more people know about the possibilities of what's going on with these different technologies, the applications for some of these different technologies. It's really, really important. Alan Christian asks, what's that painting in the background of this guy right here? This is actually a family heirloom, so to speak. It's made by a New Zealand artist, and interpret away, guys. Interpret away, as all great art. But it's absolutely fascinating. I love it. I can look at it for hours and just, what's going on? I don't know. Okay. But maybe you can see a bit of, I don't know, human evolution into AI. Really, connection to machines. We also have the tarot cards down the bottom. So a lot of different stuff going on there, but I love it. It's this kind of just moving from, the real world to the cyber world, and what's all that gonna mean? There's some guys talking about porn. There you go. The singularity. Oh yes, it's coming. It's coming. Actually, it's a really fascinating topic to see the way which different blockchain projects are starting to approach the topic of artificial intelligence. It'll be really interesting to see how that moves forward. Obviously, Singularity Net, they want to bring this marketplace of AI, but it's just the start of it. There's a lot of different AI projects, and some are better than others. There have been some that have been kind of rubbish, some that have been pretty cool. Yeah, it's. I think a lot of people misunderstand AI, and we look at the movies, for example, and if you watch Hollywood, you're going to get pretty scared about AI, because it seems scary. The machines are going to come and take over and kill everybody and all this bad stuff. But no. Hey, Nem with Tony. Tony, what's up, man? Haven't talked to you in forever, dude. When Nem Moon? Oh, Nem. I'm still holding on to my Nem. I've actually added into a position not too recently, but it was back when Nem was like, I don't know, 15 cents or something like that. I added a bit more, and I've been thinking about adding a bit more under 10 cents as well. So Nem's a great platform with a good future dealing. Elon Musk is afraid of AI. Oh, interesting. Well, the trouble with AI, and I've got a very positive view in general, but unfortunately, humans are making the artificial intelligence, and I think that artificial intelligence is actually like aliens. What do I mean by that? I mean that we look at artificial intelligence the same way that we often depict aliens, that it's this unknown, and our greatest fear about AI and our greatest fear about aliens is that they're gonna be like us, that they're gonna be terrible like we can be, that they're gonna come and, destroy and kill and pillage and all these terrible things. And look, humanity does a lot of amazing stuff, guys. It really, really does. But I think that's our fear, is that they're gonna be a little too human-like. Anyway. the TMT machine elves, oh my gosh. You guys love it. AI will be dangerous the day it figures out how to generate its own power. Right now, we still have the upper hand to pull the plug. Well, that won't take very long, Alan. All they need to do is figure out how to make some solar panels, and we're in big trouble. Again, it's a question of, will AI be like us? Will AI be vindictive and petty and, kill other people, or kill us, obviously, for to steal our resources and because of our religious beliefs and all that stuff? I hope not. I hope that we can create a better intelligence, so to speak, but the problem is that humans are the ones programming it, and the moral dilemmas that is posed by AI will actually be largely decided by humans. I think the driverless car moral dilemma is a great way to understand it, because imagine you're driving in a driverless car. Well, you're sitting in a driverless car, you're not driving it, and something falls off of the truck in front of you. Now, it's up to the driverless car to decide, is it going to swerve left, is it going to swerve right, or is it going to kill you? If it swerves left, it's going to kill 5 kids. If it swerves right, it's going to kill a dude on a motorcycle, or it's going to kill you. Somebody has to program that. And that is what it comes down to, is how do you program for these kind of moral problems? Time will tell how we move forward with that conversation. So, what region of the world will adopt crypto as a real payment system? Where will the adoption come first? That's interesting, David. It's not going to be New Zealand, apparently. We're kind of behind the times when it comes to crypto payments. Honestly, I think that one of the first places that really might be like full country adoption of crypto will be somewhere like Venezuela, or perhaps Zimbabwe. They'd be great potential use cases because their own governments have screwed up so bad. You might look at somewhere like Ecuador. I mean, Ecuador uses the US dollar because their own currency is such, was such a failure. I don't know if they still do. I haven't been to Ecuador, but I remember reading about that for sure. And those are probably some of the places where you might look to decentralized cryptocurrency options as really taking root. I know that currently we have Sweden exploring issuing their own state digital currency, and I heard, I think Yvonne on Tech posted something on Twitter yesterday. It was like Swedish banks are now refusing cash. Some Swedish banks are now refusing cash deposits, for example. So cash, unfortunately, will go the way of the past in the future. Does that make sense? And that's where like privacy coins are going to come in, guys, because privacy coins will fill the niche that cash fills in society right now. And it's a very important niche to fill, because just the ability to have a private transaction, all the times you've used cash, seriously, all the times you use cash, just think about it. You walk in somewhere, you pay with cash, nobody knows it happened. Your name's not on that, it's not traceable back to you. And that's important. That's why these privacy coins may come under regulatory restriction in the future, but at the same time are such a great potential. Something to keep in mind. Colton says, without privacy coins, the war on cash would be very sad. Somebody says, Lark totally watches anime. I haven't watched anime in quite a few years, guys. Gosh, it was, I used to really like Japanese anime, though, when I was younger. I haven't had time for it recently, but, yeah, there were some really great ones. What was it, Arya Zarum or something like that, about this, like, motorcycle, like, half-cyborg motorcycle chick or whatever, runs around and, you know, fights crazy monsters in Tokyo. Something like that, anyway. It's been a few years, guys. It's been a few years. No other blockchain can be trusted like Bitcoin's. We'll never have a blockchain better. Well, right now, Bitcoin is certainly the most secure, guys, without a doubt. I was thinking about this recently. Let's imagine that a government really wanted to attack one of these cryptocurrencies. And obviously, like, Bitcoin can just fork and, you know, continue to move in its direction and bob and weave and all this stuff. But let's imagine that China wanted to actually attack the blockchain, right? And do, like, I don't know, build so many damn computers that they could just do, like, a 70% attack on Bitcoin, for example. Well, that would be problematic. And you can see that a lot of these smaller cap proof of work coins are in big trouble. I mean, some guy live streamed a 51% attack on Bitcoin private the other week. So, yeah, that is definitely problematic when it comes down to that. But right now, Bitcoin is the most secure. But there are also some really interesting developments being made in the proof of stake area. So will we see some incredibly secure proof of stakes coming out? I think so. I mean, obviously, we already have some very secure proof of stakes. I think it needs to be proven in terms of how well will they stand up to state-level attacks. Harry Lasagna says they would only get Bitcoin for one block. It's impossible to 52% attack Bitcoin for more than one block. This is something to keep in mind, too, is that the attacks that we can perceive on different cryptocurrencies, it's not a lot like you might think it is. Like, yeah, you just 51% attack it, and that's it. The blockchain's broken and it's all falling to pieces. It's not fragile like that. I like the idea of Bitcoin being anti-fragile. So you can go and check that out if you guys want to check it out. Understand that idea a bit more. China they have over 50% of the miners in China for Bitcoin. Ricky, but one thing you got to remember is that they don't actually control those, and that we can always things can fork, right? And so, anyway, something to keep in mind, guys. Something to keep in mind. I should maybe do a video about how to, the idea of 51% attacks and what that actually means for Bitcoin. It's an interesting topic, actually. They are hiding barcode on gold and silver bullion here in Canada. Well, that's interesting. I haven't heard about that, but that's pretty crazy if true, I suppose. Lark, surf is not Zen. Go for archery. Depends on perspective, man. Depends on perspective, I suppose. Anyway, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and finish up there for today. It has been a lot of fun, as always, getting to talk to you guys and, you know, getting to communicate and having all you guys ask really awesome questions down there in the comment section. So much appreciated, without a doubt. You guys are seriously awesome. I love every time I get to come out here and talk with the community. Like I said, there will be no regular scheduled live stream, so I've canceled the Monday live stream that we used to have here in New Zealand. But there will be live streams happening on a regular enough basis, so just stay tuned, guys. We will have more live streams coming up in the future. I have a lot of fun with these, and I really appreciate all the awesome questions that you guys bring in. So thank you so much for coming out and joining the live stream today. Thank you to the moderators for helping to keep the chat a nice and friendly and clean and family-friendly place, guys. You are all awesome. Thank you so much. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.